Benchmark 2A, we're going to solve the first system of equations by substitution. Now read carefully. All I want is the y value. Now, could you get x and y? Yes, but in the end, all I wanted is a y value. The basic reason why I'm asking only for one is on multiple choice tests. That's what I ask for sometimes, just one of them. Anyways, if all I want is y, let's ignore that for now. Let's find x and y. So use substitution. What you're going to do is you're going to take this guy, because he's solved for a variable, and you're going to plug this in for y, because it equals y. So you take this, you go to the other equation, and you're going to stick it right there for y. So you're going to end up with something that looks like this. 2x minus blank equals 4. Now that blank, where the y was, is now x minus 2. Now, there is a common mistake when we solve this equation, this new equation. People sometimes forget to bring down the 2x. Not as common. But right here, you have to distribute that negative to both pieces. So that becomes a negative x and a positive 2. Because you distribute the negative to both pieces inside the parenthesis. That right there is a common mistake. Try not to make it. Now, finish solving this. 2x plus x is, 2x minus x is x. Bring down the 2, bring down the 4. And that hopefully is pretty obvious. When you minus the 2 over, you have x equals 2. Minus the 2 over, x equals 2. Now, we have x. We want y. So we're going to take x and plug it into one of these original equations. I would say the first one. A lot easier. So if you take the first equation, that's the first equation, and I left a blank for x, and what am I going to plug in? I'm going to plug in 2. So I get y equals 2 minus 2, which is 0. So my answer basically is y equals 0. And that's what it's asking for. Sometimes questions will ask for both x and y, sometimes just one. Read the question. Now, that's substitution. You substituted one equation into the other. This is elimination. Hint, we're going to eliminate. But look carefully right here. It wants, what is the value of x plus y? So you find x and y and then you add them. So you got to be careful about stuff like that. Read the question. So we're going to do elimination. So the first step would be to look at these two equations, and you're going to have to multiply one of them or both of them by a number so an x or y disappears. And looking at this, there's multiple options, but I can look at this and tell that if I just multiply one of them, something's going to cancel. So it really doesn't matter which one. I'm going to go after the x's. So in order for this 2x to cancel with that 4x, doesn't this have to become a negative 4x? And how do we get this to become a negative 4x? You multiply by negative 2. So let me write it out. 2x minus y equals 6. That parenthesis should be there. And you're going to multiply by negative 2, correct? Yeah. And when you multiply that by negative 2, you're going to get negative 4x. Negative 2 times this is positive 2y, and equals negative 12. And then I'm going to rewrite the second equation. Remember, this is the first. This is the second equation. Now when I'm multiplying by negative 2, I'm doing both sides, or the whole thing. It's the same idea. Now, we are now going to solve for a variable by adding straight down and eliminating. That's gone. This gives us negative 1y, and that looks like it gives us negative 4. If we divide by -1, oops. If we divide by -1, we get y equals 4. There's half my answer. Y is positive 4. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that 4 and plug it into either of the originals, most likely. It doesn't really matter. I like the first one. I'm going to take the first equation. And it looks like I'm plugging in 4 for y. There's the first equation. Plug 4 for y. And then I solve this. Add 4 to both sides. 2x equals 10. And you end up with x equals 5. Because when you divide both sides by 2, you get x equals 5. We are not done. The question asks us to what is the value of x plus y. So x plus y is going to be 5 plus 4, which is 9. There's my answer. Be careful to make sure you do what it says, not just find the answers. Okay, so those are the two answers there. Now the last one is just saying how many solutions does it have. So the possibilities are 0, 1, or infinite. There are different ways to do this. You could just graph them and see. Or could you just solve this using one of these two methods and find out along the way? That's the way I would. I would use one of these two methods. Now looking at this problem, which method probably is easier? I would say substitution, because isn't one of them solve for a variable? So I'm going to use substitution and take this guy and plug it in right there. When I do that, right here is going to be 3x minus 2, because you put 3x minus 2 for y. And when you distribute this, first write the 6x, that becomes negative 6x, that becomes positive 4. Now, these two are going to cancel, which right away tells you it's either no solutions or infinite. We get now what's left is 4 equals to 8. That is a false statement. So a false statement is no solution. So this particular one is no solution. Got it? Now, just a question. If you ended up with, say, 3 equals 3, that would be true, which would be infinite solutions. Just keep that in mind. And then what would one solution look like? Well, you could keep solving. The variables don't disappear. You can keep solving, so you know right away it's one solution. Okay, one solution looks like both these. You can just keep going. These two are just when things fall apart.